Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Doc Jeff. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health. I own and operate the Evenson Holistic Natural Health Center. I do not practice medicine. I do not pretend to be a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a holistic health doctor. I do not prescribe, treat, or diagnose. Instead, I help my clients get their health back through holistic means, natural health. I believe what I do here is considered real healthcare, and I am not part of the sick care system. There's a time and a place, of course, for the sick care system. I know this, and I tell my clients that if you break an arm or a leg or something, don't call me. Not until you get your bones fixed, and then we can talk about what nutrients might help your bones mend and heal and repair much better. So I got a good show lined up today, I think. I don't know if we'll go the whole hour again. Last week I talked about protein, so I thought I would keep going on the macronutrients. You know, if you know what macros are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. It's nutrients at a higher level, macro level. You get down into the micronutrients, that's where you get into the vitamins and minerals and enzymes and all that kind of stuff. Um, and so we're going to talk about that today. I think it'll be a good show. What are you doing for your self care? That's one question that came up in my thoughts before I got on the show. What are you doing for self care? I I did my self care routine this morning. I went out to the gym and worked out. I've had a good breakfast already. Um, I sat and meditated for a little bit, contemplated over with a cup of coffee. That's kind of the routine I do every morning, and I love doing it. If you're jumping on, please say hi in the chat. I think I think there's even a live chat option in Rumble. If you happen to be on Rumble, you can say hi on there too. And let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where people are tuning in and whatnot. But let's get after it. Make sure you get your coffee. It's I look ahead. I've got my I am speaking at a conference in October down in Orlando. Be a couple hundred other practitioners or people who are interested in holistic health, thinking about becoming practitioners and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes there's medical people in there, which is awesome. Um, so I turned in my presentation yesterday. I'm sure I'm going to tweak it over the next couple months as the conference gets closer. But and then I'm broadcasting live here from Minnesota. I live in northern Minnesota, of course, up in Finlayson. And if I sound a little nasally this morning, I think the smoke out there that's coming down out of Canada is affecting me. I tested myself. I'm a little switched due to the chemicals and the crap that's coming down through the wind. Minnesota, I saw a notice that is like second worst air quality in the world right now, uh, given all the smoke coming out of Canada, because Canada seems to be having trouble managing their forests up there, and or they have people. I read a report last night. There's actually people up there that have been starting these fires. These aren't natural fires. This is bullshit. People going out and starting fires for whatever reason. I don't know if they're politically motivated, if they're irritated at the government, irritated at the United States. Who knows? It's just Grow up, people. You're affecting the lives of many people. After the show, I'm going to take a homeopathic remedy that I think will help me detox some of the stuff that's hanging up in my head. And we'll go from there and see how that goes. But so, good morning and welcome to Morning Coffee with Doc Jeff. This show today, it's for the real folks out there, okay? I got to move my screen a little bit more here. It's for the real folks out there, the ones trying to feel better, move better, live better, but who are sick of being told that they have to go full keto or zero carb diets or eat nothing but steak to make it happen. Okay? Because I'll tell you right now, not everyone is to live in ketosis. Not everyone thrives on a carnivore diet. And not everyone is ready or even wants to give up carbs for the rest of their life. That's okay. You're not weak. You're not broken. But you do need the truth. So today we're going to talk about carbohydrates. I'm going to try to give you the real story, not the headlines, not the diet fads, not what the food industry wants you to believe. We're going to break it down. What are carbs really? Which ones are hurting you? Why are they tied to inflammation, heart disease, and brain fog? And how do you reclaim them in a way that fuels healing and not dysfunction? So this isn't about making you afraid of food. It's about making you aware of what's actually happening inside your body when you eat it. Because let's face it, most people aren't following a perfect diet. They're juggling jobs, stress, kids, cravings, late nights, early mornings. They're just trying to make it through the day without crashing or crying. I get it. So, and this show isn't for the gym bros or the biohackers or the folks who can eat ribeye for breakfast. This one's for the moms, the workers, the everyday people who just want to get their health back without losing their minds. So if you've been struggling with fatigue, bloating, brain fog, belly fat, or weird cravings you can't explain, stick around. Okay, we're going to go deep into the world of carbs. And by the end of this episode, you're going to walk away smarter, stronger, and finally free from all the carb confusion. That's my goal. So let's get started. The first segment here is the truth about carbs and what they really are. Okay. So we're coming in hot today because we're talking carbs. Yep. Carbohydrates, the very word makes some people flinch. Better take some of this here. Coffee is not carbs. You have low carb, no carb, keto, carb loading. We've heard it all. But most people, they've been lied to. Carbs are not evil, but the kind most people are eating, they are absolutely destroying your health. Let me say that again. If it's not carbs that are bad, it's the wrong kind of carbs in the wrong amount at the wrong time. So let's break it down. Carbohydrates are one of the three macronutrients along with protein and fat. Your body uses them primarily for energy. They get broken down into glucose, your body's preferred fuel source, especially for your brain and muscles. I might argue that a little bit. I think the brain and muscles love ketones that are generated when your body's in ketosis. Okay. But the muscles do use glucose as well. But here's the catch. There are two main types. There's simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. And if you've been working with me, you've heard me talk about them before. Simple carbs and complex carbs. Okay. The simple carbohydrates, these break down fast. I want you to think white sugar, corn syrup, fruit juice. Yes, fruit juice, soda, candy, bread. They hit your bloodstream like a freight train. Complex carbohydrates, these break down slowly. They're found in foods like sweet potatoes, squash, beans, and whole vegetables. They come with fiber, nutrients, and a slower glucose release. Simple, right? But here's where it gets twisted. Somewhere along the line, we took real food, the kind that your great grandma ate, and replaced it with food like substances that hijack your brain, that mess with your blood sugar and inflame your body from the inside out. So here's the big lie: the food industry has trained us to believe that all carbs are the same, just calories. But not all carbs are created equal. Eating an apple is not the same as drinking apple juice. A baked potato is not the same as a bag of potato chips. But our culture doesn't teach the nuance. It just throws everything into one big pile and says, watch your carbs. Or worse, fat is the real problem. Remember the 90s? I do. Everything was low fat and we got sicker. When you have carbs and blood sugar, you're creating an inflammation storm. Every time you eat carbs, especially the fast acting ones, your blood sugar rises. In response, your pancreas releases insulin to shuttle that sugar into your cells. This is normal, okay? But when you're constantly eating fast carbs all day and every day, such as cereal for breakfast, sandwich and chips for lunch, pasta for dinner, add in the snacks, the sodas, the lattes in between, and your insulin never gets a break. When you have chronically elevated insulin, it equals inflammation, weight gain, brain fog, and eventually metabolic breakdown. And when that happens, we call this insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the foundation of type 2 diabetes. It's the foundation of heart disease, Alzheimer's, PCOS, belly fat that won't budge, and yes, even cancer. So when you look at carbs in nature versus carbs in a box, here's something to think about. Okay, ancient man had backup. Here's something to think about. Humans have always eaten carbohydrates, okay, but not in the form that we eat today. Ancient man had fruit seasonally. Tubers and root veggies were dug up and cooked with care. Wild grains, if eaten, were fermented or soaked. Carbs were paired with physical activity, scarcity, and a slower lifestyle. Contrast that to now. We eat refined, pulverized, sugar laced carbs every single day. And we sit, we scroll, we stress. No wonder our blood sugar is out of control, and no wonder we're inflamed and overweight. No wonder why we feel like garbage half the time. So my mission today we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff, literally, and we're going to reclaim the truth about carbohydrates. I'm going to call out the ones that are wrecking your system and show you how to eat carbs the way your body was designed to use them, because I don't want you to be afraid of food. I want you educated. So let's stop buying into the dogma of the latest diet trend, and instead, let's understand the role of carbs from a holistic, functional, God designed perspective. So stick with me. We're going to break down the good, the bad, and the inflammatory. You're going to want to hear this, especially if you've ever eaten bread and felt bloated, tired, or foggy an hour later. So we're just getting started here. So the good, the bad, and the inflammatory. Now that we've laid the groundwork on what carbs actually are, it's time to draw a hard line. Not all carbs are the same, not even close. Some can support healing, others are flat out biological warfare masquerading as food. And if you've got inflammation, gut issues, brain fog, fatigue, autoimmune symptoms, or heart concerns, you need to know the difference. So let's start with the good. I've got these little gnats flying all around in here. So sorry if I look like I'm having some kind of nervous breakdown. Hey, good morning, Dr. Dean. Okay, so let's start with the good. These are the kind of carbs your body can recognize, digest, and use without wrecking your system. Okay, here I'm talking root vegetables. This is your sweet potatoes, your beets, your carrots, parsnips. Then you have winter squash, which is butternut, acorn, spaghetti. Then we have whole fruits, and I'm overemphasizing that word, whole fruit. There we have apples, berries, pears that are in season. That matters. Okay. Look at legumes, lentils, beans, only if tolerated and properly prepared. And what I mean by that is you're going to soak them and sprout them. Then you have whole ancient grains, quinoa, millet, and wild rice. Not instant oatmeal or whole wheat bread. Okay. So these carbs come with the fiber, the minerals, and cofactors your body needs to properly metabolize them. They're slow burning, they don't spike you like a roller coaster, and when paired with good fats and protein, they help regulate blood sugar and feed your microbiome. So then we have the neutral to questionable carbs. These aren't inherently evil, but they require a caveat, if you will. So these are questions on this list. I put them on this list. Are questions I always get when I'm coaching with food and my clients. Okay, neutral to questionable, and I'll talk about what they are and what the caveat is. White potatoes, fine for some, inflammatory for others. Okay. And you think about it, white potatoes are in just about everything. Anytime you go out to eat fast food, potatoes are always on the menu in some form or another. French fried potatoes, waffle cut potatoes, baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, everywhere. Who doesn't like a white potato? They're okay once in a while, just not for every single meal. Okay. It can create inflammation. It can be a big source of inflammation for people. And then we have white rice. Most people can tolerate white rice. Okay, but the one downside of white rice is it lacks nutrition. There's not much to it. Then we have corn. And yes, I live in a corn producing state. It's usually genetically modified. It's high in omega 6 fats and it's hard to digest. Okay, Not to be gross, but how many times have you eaten corn on the cob or eaten corn in general and go down to take a big duker later and you see the corn in the toilet too? Doesn't digest well. I remember growing up, some people, well, my family would always insist that you eat some bread when you are eating corn because that will help digest the corn. That never really worked for me either. Oats. Let's talk about oats. Okay. Oats are often contaminated with glyphosate unless you know you can get it organic. I tend to go with Bob's Red Mill Organic, gluten-free oatmeal. It's pretty good. See, you've got all these little gnats. They're flying right in my face. I feel like I'm going to inhale them. All right. And then modern wheat. Okay. Modern wheat. You can't have a discussion about carbs without talking about wheat. Even if it says whole grain, it's still highly processed and hybridized. And the modern wheat, the hybridization has created extra proteins in the wheat that the human body does not even recognize. Okay. And so if the body doesn't recognize a protein, it can't digest it very well. And that can super inflame what's going on in the body, especially you get down in the joints, the synovial membranes and stuff in your joints. One of the biggest tips that I can give people is if you have stiff and sore joints, stop eating wheat. And I'm talking about all wheat. Just stop. Give your body a break from the stuff. Okay? So here's the truth. Even healthy carbs can trigger inflammation if your gut is damaged. If your blood sugar is unstable or if you're already insulin resistant. And that's where individualized testing comes from, like quantum nutrition testing comes in. I can muscle test and help identify what's going on with the body. So now let's talk about the bad carbs, the inflammatory carbs. Okay. The food that's designed to keep you sick, tired, bloated, and stuck. These are not foods. These are products. They look like food, they smell like food, and taste addictive as hell, but they're poison in disguise. So here's your hit list for bad carbs. These are carbs if you took everything on this list and just stopped eating it, your health would dramatically improve. So before I go on the list, if you happen to be on chat or watching and can chat from somewhere, pop in and say hi. I appreciate it. Like Dr. Dean did. Good friend and colleague he's down in Florida. He is the host of Brave TV. So I appreciate anybody who takes time to step in and watch. So let's talk about your hit list. All right. Refined, you know this is going to be on the list. Refined white sugar. Big surprise, right? What do you think is next on the list? High fructose corn syrup. The third thing on the list. Enriched white flour. Then we have processed whole wheat breads. That might surprise people, but go back to what I mentioned about wheat. Wheat is not generally good for us. And we've been marketed to death to go after, make sure you're eating the whole wheat breads and all that kind of stuff. Well, what we know today, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Wheat is wheat. It inflames the body. It fogs the mind. Here's another one that some people eat. I used to be a big fan of this one, breakfast cereals. Boy, there was a time in my life when I could survive on nothing but breakfast cereal for the entire day, every meal. But don't. I don't do that today. If I did that today, it would probably kill me. Hey, Marie, great to see you. Then we have snack bars. I'm going to go through the rest of these a little quicker. Snack bars. Well, who doesn't like a good snack bar, right? Well, they're typically full of crap. And a good snack bar is hard to find. That doesn't have all that crap in it. Then you go further down the list: pastries, donuts, cookies, crackers, chips, soda, juice, coffee creamers, flavored yogurts, instant oatmeal packets, health drinks with more sugar than soda. Okay? Now, a side commentary is everything on this bad list is all primary stuff that people on EBT programs or WIC programs can go out and buy. Why do you think that is? Because the government wants to keep you sick. I'm sorry to put on the tinfoil hat, but it's the truth. So I'm excited to see RFK get in there and start looking at this and deciding, does this stuff actually need to be on the EBT and the WIC list? No, it's not healthy food. Why the hell would we promote, hey, everybody go out and eat all this crap food? Hate to say it, but when you don't feel good, you're easier to control. And that's what the government goes after. Sorry, that's my side commentary. All right. These are all the primary drivers of chronic inflammation in the modern diet. Okay. So let's talk about inflammation. What is it really? Inflammation is your body's immune system getting activated over and over and over again. It's like there's a fire in the background that never shuts off. Kind of like the one going on up in Canada. And what lights that match? Refined carbs, processed sugars, synthetic oils. They damage your gut lining, which can create leaky gut. They spike insulin and cause fat storage. They disrupt your hormones. They'll trigger your immune system to go haywire and feed the bad bugs in your gut, the candida, the parasites, the mold. All of the bad carbs, everything that leads to the inflammation, all of that is number one food sources for the bad bugs in your gut, the candida, the parasites, and mold. And here's the kicker: they're a massive contributor to heart disease. The bad carbs are. Yes, I said it. It's not fat that's clogging your arteries. It's the chronic inflammation from these garbage carbs. They damage the endothelial lining of your blood vessels. That's the inside skin of your arteries. They cause micro tears and oxidative stress. And then your body sends cholesterol to patch the damage. Cholesterol isn't the villain, it's the band aid. The damage was from the sugar storm. So hear me when I say this: cholesterol does not cause heart disease. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease. You do not need a statin medication. You need cholesterol, in my opinion, is 100% manageable through your diet. You don't need a statin medication. You don't have a statin deficiency in your body. You have a I can't keep food out of my freaking mouth problem. And the food that you're putting into your mouth are all on the bad carb list. Stop eating that shit. If you're taking a statin right now, you should not be eating anything on the bad carb list. And I wouldn't eat anything on the gray area carb list either. Stick with the good complex carbs. You need cholesterol in the body to manage repair. The body is not going to create a substance that is going to harm itself. Think about it. As soon as your doctor says, hey, I want to prescribe statins for you, you should say, no, thank you. I am going to embark on a natural health improvement program, and you're going to do everything you can to pull your diet back into alignment and get your health back. Because, folks, nobody's going to do it. The statin medication is not going to do that. And the statin medication is also going to damage your brain. Because it's going to keep the cholesterol down, which your brain thrives on fat. It needs the cholesterol up there. It needs the fat in your system to keep your brain active. And if you go and look on the side effects on the drugs.com website, scroll down to the statin side effects. And in the list of side effects is freaking heart disease. You didn't know that, did you? So, folks, if you think you have a cholesterol problem, or the doctor is wanting to put you on medications for statins, instead the doctor should be having that conversation with you to say, hey, Jack, you got to stop eating all that stuff. You got to stop living the seafood diet, meaning when you see food, you eat it. And frankly, this is the call out. I'm calling you out. Folks, it's time to pull your head out of your ass and start eating right to get your cholesterol managed, to get your health managed, to lower the insulin in your body. And when all of that happens, the inflammation comes down. The reality is, sometimes, and this was my case, your health goes too far over the edge and you just don't know how to start or where to start. I get that. That's why I became a health coach. Okay. And I will coach you. I will not use names like, I will be very tactful, kind, and caring. Trust me. I'm just on a rant today about cholesterol. I will coach. I've helped hundreds of people navigate their health back into the healthy zone, back across the line, to the point where they didn't need statin medications. Okay. Cholesterol, again, is not the villain. The damage was from the sugar storms. The same goes for the brain. We now refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes because chronically high blood sugar and insulin resistance absolutely wreck your brain. Brain fog is not a caffeine deficiency, it's your brain on sugar. So you were never meant to eat this way. The truth is, your body doesn't know what to do with most of what's in a modern grocery store. These fake carbs have been stripped of nutrients, blasted with heat, laced with seed oils, and loaded with additives to addict you. And the industry knows it. These companies spend millions engineering what's called the bliss point, that perfect combination of sugar, salt, and fat that hits your brain like a drug. And then you crash. and then you crave and you reach for more. You're not just dealing with a poor food choice. You're dealing with food that's been designed to override your survival instincts. One of the stories that I tell about the sugar addiction that I had, this is back when I had parasites, and the parasites were driving a large portion of my sugar cravings at the time. But even without the parasites, I knew I was addicted to sugar. I went through a stretch when I was food journaling. I had 41 days in a row where I had a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I had to have this like I was trying to get a heroin fix. If I didn't have Ben and Jerry's in the house, I would drive out to a gas station, a convenience store, a Walmart, or any place that might sell it. I knew all the spots in my area that sold Ben and Jerry's, and I would go get a fix. Okay, and it's like, how did I run out of the house? If I grocery shopped, I would purposely not buy the Ben and Jerry's ice cream because I would tell myself, nope, I'm going to stop. But it was like a drug. If I didn't have it in the freezer, I'm serious, even if it was in the middle of the night, I would get up, get in my car, and go find it so I could get my fix. I don't do that now. If I ate that much Ben and Jerry's today, I'd probably kill myself doing it. How did he die? The police asked the coroner. Well, look at all these empty containers of Ben and Jerry's sitting there on the nightstand and on the floor. It can be that addictive, folks. The food industry knows exactly what that bliss point is. They know exactly what combination they need to put in the food to get you addicted. And we deserve better. It reminds me, years ago, I worked with a client too, talking about these bad carbs. The guy came in, he was super stressed, his heart rate was up, and I looked at his food journal, and on his food journals, he had, on average, 6 to 8 times a day that he was stopping at the local Quick Trip to buy these stupid little pizza rolls that are rolling on the heaters right there. And so part of the process I worked through with him is I told him, don't stop eating that stuff. We have to wean him off, like we're trying to wean him off of meth or something, or crack. And I said, instead of 8 times a day, next week can you go only 6 times a day? And we started each week, we would lower that number to the point until we got down to 0, because there was something in those pizza rolls that he was super addicted to. I've never seen it that bad until this guy came in. So we deserve better. Okay, we deserve real food that heals, food your ancestors would recognize, not box lies with heart symbols and low-fat stickers slapped on the front of them. If you've been eating these kind of carbs for years, if you're struggling with bloating, fatigue, autoimmune flare-ups, or stubborn weight, then it's time to stop guessing. There is a way to test how your body reacts to different foods. There's a way to find the root cause. That's what I do here every single day with quantum nutrition testing. We're going to go deeper into the addiction. We're going to talk about why it's so hard to give these foods up and how the food industry has created a nation of sugar zombies. You're going to want to hear it. So, as an aside, this is what we're doing to our kids. I want to have a little aside here with we can't talk about some of the bad carbs and stuff and without including a quick side note on our kids. Okay, let me pause here for a second because this one hits hard. The question is, what are we feeding our kids? Most kids today are starting their mornings with breakfast that looks like dessert. Cereal with 20 plus grams of sugar in a single bowl. Toaster pastries filled with dyed jelly and wrapped in frosting. Granola bars that are just candy in a different shape. Juice boxes with more sugar than soda. School lunches filled with breaded nuggets, fries, cookies, chocolate milk. And we wonder why they can't focus in class. Why they have meltdowns mid morning. Why anxiety, ADHD, and childhood obesity are skyrocketing. Why they're chronically sick with runny noses, ear infections, and gut issues by age 5. We're creating metabolic dysfunction before they even hit puberty. Their little bodies were never designed for this kind of daily assault. And yet, this is what we call normal today. It's not just what's in your pantry, it's what's in their future. This is not about shaming parents. Most are doing the best that they can with what they've been told. But I'm here to say it's time to question the programming. It's time to break the generational curse of processed food, inflammation, and dysfunction. Because if we don't, we're just handing them the same mess we're trying to escape. And what I've seen countless times, I've had these discussions with parents countless times. Oh, I'm going to have trouble getting little Johnny off of off of those sugar crisps in the morning of cereal. And when I suggest a change in diet for the kids and even for the adult that I'm talking to, I'll get, well, the kids won't like eating all of that kind of stuff. You know, they're really tuned into the sugary cereals and all that kind of stuff. And they just won't eat all the healthy stuff. Well, they won't eat the healthy stuff if you don't take the time to train them. You're in control of the food that is put down in front of your children. Stop putting this shit and this garbage down on the table in front of your kids. Start feeding them real food. Because if you're doing that today, imagine what they're going to be like by the time they get into adulthood. Overweight, dysfunctional, inflamed, brain fogged. They might be medicated already. They could be running right into the wall of diabetes, type 2 diabetes. You're setting them up for failure for the rest of their life. Please, parents, take the time to make a shift at your kitchen table and feed your children real food. And during the summer, go out there, carve up a small garden plot, and teach them how to grow their own food. What a fun project to do with kids. So let's talk about the trap that most people get into. Carb addiction is real, okay? Let's just call it out. This is not just a discipline issue. I'm going to keep going on my rant. This is not just about willpower. If you've tried to quit sugar, if you've ever tried to stop eating bread or chips or cereal or soda, and you found yourself back at it within hours or days, it's not because you're lazy. It's because the food is engineered to addict you. The brain on sugar, let's talk about brain chemistry. Every time you eat sugar or refined carbohydrates, your brain releases dopamine. That's the same pleasure chemical triggered by things like drugs, alcohol, or gambling, or even porn. This isn't an accident. The food industry studies this. They've mapped the brain. They've figured out how much sugar, salt, and fat to combine to light up your brain's reward center like a slot machine. This is what's called the bliss point, the exact ratio that makes you want more and more and more. And every time you reach for it, your brain gets a hit. You feel better for a moment, but then comes the crash. The crash and crave cycle is what we can call this. Here's how it works: you eat something sugary or starchy, blood sugar spikes, insulin dumps, and you crash. You feel tired, anxious, foggy, or irritable, and your brain screams for another hit to feel better. You eat again, often more than before, and the cycle repeats. This isn't just about hunger, this is a biochemical prison. But it's just one cookie. I hear that all the time. Doc Jeff, it's just one cookie. It's just a little treat. Life's short. Everything in moderation. Well, let me ask you something. Would you tell an alcoholic to have just one beer? Would you tell a smoker to have just one cigarette? Because for many people, that cookie or that slice of bread or that soda is their trigger. I'm speaking from experience on this one too. I used to smoke. I quit when I was 21, thank God. I started when I was 12. But the trigger, boy, is one cigarette. Oh, just have one cigarette. That triggers it. Poof, off you go. And I've seen it time and time again in my own health journey. That trigger, something triggers it. I got to have more. And I told you about the Ben and Jerry's having to go out and get a fix. It sets off a chain reaction that's hard to stop. And worse, it rewires the brain every time you cave in. So you're not just feeding your stomach, you're feeding the addiction pathway in your nervous system. And this isn't food, it's a product. Let's get this straight. The stuff we're talking about here isn't food. It's food-like substance. It's manufactured in a lab, it's wrapped in plastic, marketed to kids, and sold to moms as whole grain or low fat. Okay? They slap heart-healthy labels on cereal boxes and yogurt cups loaded with sugar. They put cartoon characters on snacks and tell us it's normal to hand our kids dessert for breakfast. This is not normal. This is not okay. This is chemical warfare disguised as convenience. I've been there. Years ago, I've been chronically exhausted, living on the edge, burning the candle at both ends. So what did I do? What did I turn to? Sugar, carbs, snack foods, comfort food, the quick fixes. It didn't matter how healthy I was trying to be. I was using carbs like a drug, and they were using me back. I would have the stress would cause emotional breakdowns and all that kind of stuff. And then I go into the emotional eating cycle. I'm trying to soothe my emotions with this comfort food, which is all sugar, carbs, snacks, comfort food. I was inflamed, I was foggy and wired but tired. And when I finally got off the sugar train, it was withdrawal. Holy shit, does that give you a withdrawal? The headaches, the mood swings, the cravings. But then the fog lifted, the pain eased, and the power came back. And so now I get to help others do the same. I have a process to help people work off of that stuff. So it's not about guilt, it's about ownership, okay? If this is hitting home for you, please don't feel shame, feel power. Because the moment you see the trap, you can escape it. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. And sometimes the best way to break free is to get tested, get clarity, and get a plan. And that's where quantum nutrition testing comes in. I help people understand their true biochemical individuality. Because what triggers inflammation in one person may not do that in another. What causes cravings for you may be tied to blood sugar, yeast, parasites, or trauma. You don't have to guess anymore. There's a way to find out. So, low carb, keto, carnivore, is it helpful or harmful? We'll change gears here a little bit. Let me grab a drink of my coffee. The health space is full of people shouting from the rooftops, go keto, cut all carbs, carnivore is the cure. And look, I get it. Some of these protocols have helped people. I've been carnivore, I've done the keto. I prefer to be as close to carnivore as I possibly can, but I'm working with a trainer right now and he's got me some carbs. Um, but over the years, I've learned that keto and carnivore tend to be where my sweet spot is. But that's for me. Okay. I don't coach all of my clients to go into that type of diet. Most people I'm working with are just regular people trying to get their health back to some point where they can start feeling good again. And most of the time, I don't need to swing people all the way into a carnivore diet. There are stories, of course, of miraculous turnarounds, reversals of diabetes, weight loss, reduced inflammation, improved brain clarity. But here's the truth, and I've seen it over and over in my practice. Just because something works doesn't mean it works for everyone. And it doesn't mean it works forever. So let's start with keto. The ketogenic is high fat, moderate protein, and low carb. The goal is to shift your body into ketosis, where it burns fat for fuel instead of glucose. And there's no doubt keto can help in the short term. It's great for blood sugar regulation, metabolic syndrome, weight loss, neurological issues like epilepsy, Parkinson's, and some types of brain fog. Certain cancer therapies, as cancer cells thrive on glucose. But here's where people can get into trouble. Long term keto can slow thyroid function. It can disrupt hormone production, especially in women. It can burden the liver and gallbladder. So a lot of times, if I'm working with somebody who's in keto, I'll cycle them in and out of it. Okay. It can cause sleep issues and cortisol dysregulation, and it often becomes a junk food version of itself. Keto bars, processed oils, fake sweeteners. You can be in ketosis and still be inflamed. If you're eating garbage fats, artificial sweeteners, and low quality meat, you're not healing. There's a smart way to go into the keto diet and not so smart. And the same applies to carnivore. The carnivore diet is essentially zero carb. It's it's all meat, no plants. And again, there are some impressive case studies. It's helped people with severe autoimmune disease, histamine intolerance, gut permeability, skin issues, debilitating inflammation. But let's be real. This is not a long-term solution for most people. There's no fiber, although there's no nutritive requirement for fiber, folks. Every nutrient that you need, you can get from a meat diet, all meat diet, red meat. Red meat. You heard me say red meat. Saturated fats are good. But where it can be challenging is it can be extremely restrictive, and it's hard to maintain for some people. Okay, it requires planning. And just like keto, carnivore isn't a one size fits all. Some people thrive on it and others crash. I've seen people get worse on a high meat diet. So what you actually need is you need some metabolic flexibility. Okay. Let me introduce a better goal than keto or carnivore, and that might be the metabolic flexibility. This means your body knows how to burn both glucose and fat efficiently. You're not stuck in one gear. You're able to burn fat between meals and during rest. You can use carbs strategically for performance, hormone balance, and recovery. You can stay even keeled without blood sugar spikes or crashes. You can choose food based on how you feel, not based on food rules. This is the sweet spot. Choose food based on how you feel. It's not about choosing a team, it's about knowing your own terrain. Where is your body right now? What are you trying to heal? What phase are you in? This is why I test. Some of you are running low on adrenal reserves and you don't need carnivore, you need carbohydrate rescue. Others are insulin resistance where you don't need more rice, you need to train your body to burn fat. Some are fighting yeast or parasites that thrive on sugar. Others are fighting mold toxicity that requires carb support to detox safely. How would you know unless you test? That's what I do with quantum nutrition testing. I don't guess. I test your body's response to different foods. I look at the whole picture, your organs, your stress load, your immune response, and even your emotional terrain. And based on that, I create a plan that works with your biochemistry. Not Instagram's, not your neighbor's, not TikTok's latest diet fad. A diet is just a tool, okay? Let's stop worshiping diets. It's not a religion, it's not a personality trait, it's not your identity. If it works, great. But when it stops working, you need to be willing to pivot. Health isn't about rigidity. It's about listening, adapting, and respecting your body's design. So, how do we go about reclaiming carbs? How to do it right? So, we've gone through the science, the lies, the addiction cycle, and the overhyped diet trends. Now, let's bring it all back home. Because here's what I want you to walk away with today: carbs are not the problem, inflammation is. And the wrong carbs, eaten the wrong way at the wrong time, are driving the inflammation. But there's good news. You can reclaim carbs. You can retrain your body, reset your metabolism, and fuel your day with the kind of carbohydrates your system actually recognizes, needs, and knows how to use. So, how do you do that? Well, let's make it simple. You don't need to cut all carbs, you just need to reframe your relationship with them. Good morning, Teresa. Here's the new strategy. Okay. Number one, eat your carbs with intention, not emotion. Don't eat carbs because you're stressed. Don't eat them because you're bored, sad, angry, or tired. Eat them when your body needs fuel. Eat them as a choice, not as a compulsion. When you feel that emotional pull to eat, this is where I want you to pause, breathe, and check in. And ask yourself, is this for fuel or is this for comfort? You have permission to nourish yourself, but not to numb yourself. Okay, number two, time your carbs based on your body's rhythm. Here's a better pattern than the standard carbs all day routine. Morning, focus on protein and fat to stabilize blood sugar. Here's where I want you to think: eggs, avocado, meat, bone broth, smoothies with collagen. Midday, add a light carb if needed, like some squash or sweet potato or fruit. And evening, This may surprise you, but adding clean carbs at dinner can help calm the nervous system. Your serotonin and melatonin pathways are fueled by certain carbohydrates. If your sleep is off, it might not be anxiety. It might be your body begging for rebuilding fuel, but you've been told to skip dinner or cut carbs. Number 3, build smart plates. Every meal should have a protein source, a healthy fat, a clean carb, and fiber from veggies or fruit. So an example would be grilled salmon, roasted sweet potatoes, and sauteed greens in olive oil. Or ground beef, butternut squash, and a side of avocado. It's not rocket science, it's real food. And when you eat like a human being instead of a product consumer, your body responds. Number 4, salt, fat, and fiber are your carb allies. If you're going to eat carbs, pair them with sea salt to support adrenal function and stabilize blood sugar. Add in the healthy fats like ghee or coconut oil, avocado, grass-fed butter. Fiber, which slows absorption and feeds your microbiome. Stop eating the naked carbs. Put clothes on your carbs. Dress them with fat and fiber. This one can shift and change everything. Okay. And number 5, test and adjust. Even clean carbs can cause inflammation if your body is already inflamed. That's why I don't just hand out meal plans or food lists. I test, I assess, I listen to what your body is actually telling me. Through quantum nutrition testing, I can evaluate how your body responds to specific foods like wheat, oils, oats, rice, fruit, legumes. We check your sugar handling organs, your pancreas, adrenals, and liver. I look at stress patterns, detox channels, and emotional patterns that drive food behavior. Because your healing isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual. And carbs play a role in every single one. So, my final thought on carbs were never the enemy. Carbs are part of God's creation. They were used in ancient times during festivals, rituals, and times of abundance. Grains were harvested with gratitude, fruit was eaten in season, bread was shared in community. But what we've done today, we've taken that gift and turned it into a curse, refined it, processed it, idolized it, and weaponized it. Now it's time to redeem it, to reclaim your health, to reclaim your power, and yes, to reclaim your carbs. So, final call to action. If you're ready to get clarity on your food, if you're tired of the back and forth, the guessing, the diets, the crashes, then now's the time to test. Look at the ticker that's at the bottom of the screen. Schedule a quantum nutrition testing assessment. Let's figure out which carbs fuel you and which ones are feeding inflammation. I'm going to study. If you decide to work with me, I'm going to study your food journal. We're going to have conversations about it. You deserve peace with food. You deserve clarity in your health, and you deserve to feel vibrant again. So schedule with the promo code called Health Truth, all one word, capital letters. It'll save you $200 off of the initial assessment. Brings the price down to $150 instead of $350. Schedule the time, get on my calendar, let's talk. Let's do an assessment. So that's it. Covered a lot of ground. You heard me go on a couple rants in there. Hopefully I didn't upset anybody. If I did, then I invite you to sit back and actually reflect on that. What actually upset you about that? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me. Let's just close in a quick prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I say this prayer a lot. Help people hear what they need to hear from me. If something lands, please help them move into action that is appropriate for them. Help us learn to be the best stewards we can of these bodies that you have given us. Help us know the best ways to take care of ourselves, our spouses, our partners, our children. Let this be the call to move into action so we can be the best that we can be for each other. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, folks. So a lot going on. Thursday nights, there's a look for my posts on a live webinar. If you have people that want to have an introduction to holistic health and quantum nutrition testing, join me Thursday nights. Right now, the time may fluctuate. It's going to be at 7 or 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's free. You can join in and get a presentation on what holistic health is and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. I love you guys. Talk to you later.